Welcome to another video, guys. The new class sets have been out for over 24 hours, and now we can see what the big winners of those class sets are. The situation is not looking very pretty, but still we're gonna get over all of the working decks we have from the new class set cards, so you guys have a better idea of what you could be doing to hit Easy Legend. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, a like and subscribe would be great, but now let's check out the classes.
You are not prepared!
Starting off with Pally, so far this seems to be the big winner of the class sets, or the least loser, if we gotta be completely honest, because none of these decks are actually top tier. Silverhand Pally, however, definitely looks real strong, and I already gave you a video about it, with a very similar list, even though this one is a bit more aggressive than the one I showed you, and it's running a little bit less of the Silverhand recruit support stuff. The Silverhand package is decent, and it is gonna help you big time filling up the board over and over again, as well as giving it a little bit of extra stats, but for the most part, if you go all in on the dudes, it's not gonna be as effective. This particular version is running the good aggro Pally core, but it also finds room for a couple of Brash Battle Masters, as well as a couple of Teamworks, and a single Arator, and let's not forget a couple of Convalescents. The deck definitely looks pretty solid, but I gotta be honest, the aggro package is the one that really is carrying it, albeit the dude stuff definitely does synergize well with this. Other than that, the other Pally cards for the dude package kinda sound like they make sense, but once you put them to the test, you realize that Resilient Savior definitely doesn't feel as amazing, and the weapon also feels a little bit too slow if you ask me. There are a few other cards from the class sets that we're not even seeing here, because they're simply just not working for the archetype. But yeah, this is the one I'm showing you right now, 2500 games, 56 plus win rate, definitely nothing to scoff at, which makes it something like a top tier 2 meta deck right now. On the second spot, we have Hunter with Companion Hunter, and this deck definitely felt pretty good on day one of the class sets, but let's face it, half the decks were leyline mages because people really wanted that, and spoiler alert, it really doesn't. So far, this is what we have for Companion Hunter that actually looks like it's working, and it is very close to the list I played, if not exactly the same actually, but no, mine did not have Sands of Time or the Critter Caretaker, but the deck looks solid. You definitely have a good endgame game plan with it, even though some of the animal companions at the end are kind of buggy. Once you actually upgrade above 10 mana, things go a little bit sideways. You can check that from my last Companion Hunter video and see what I'm talking about. But the deck does look solid, and most of the new Hunter cards definitely felt like they're decent, but the reality of this deck is it's a mid-tier free deck at best, according to the stats at least. So far it's really not proving to be that strong, and you really need to be curving decently well with this one in order to have a fighting chance. You also gotta be smart about which animal companions you actually start summoning from, so there might be a little bit of skill factor, but probably not that much. Here's what we have for Hunter right now. This is the list I'm showing you. Not that big sample size and definitely not very impressive win rate, that's for sure. And we can scroll down further and see even worse performing, more populated lists, so there is that. Kinda sound like it's gonna be working on paper for sure, but so far the reality is just not such, so yeah, keep that in mind when you're actually crafting this deck. And we also have Druid, with Mirifra Druid so far being the only beneficiary. I don't know, let's pretend this word makes sense in Hearthstone content. And yeah, some of the cards definitely feel like they are gonna be good for things like Mirifra Druid. We have the Heartroot Stones, and this thing is gonna be drawing you a lot of cards, as well as giving you a good amount of armor if you haven't played a minion last turn, and let's face it, on turn 2 you normally don't. And we also have the Bashana Rune Totem, which can give you some pretty nasty stuff, so it's another extra big bomb payoff card that you could be benefiting from. Other than that, we're not seeing too much other new stuff in this deck, even though one of the other cards definitely kind of sounded like it could be working for Druid, but right now I'm only seeing these two as new inclusions for this deck. This is the one I'm showing you. It's the only one with a positive win rate with the inclusion of new cards, but we also have some other iterations with the new Tranquil Clearing, this thing, which so far doesn't seem to be working that well. We can also see a version with the Wizened Wild Speaker, which definitely sounded like a card that should be improving Mirifra Druid a little bit, but so far that simply is not the case, and the rest of the decks really don't include anything other than those few cards, and they're not doing that well either. So all around, the Druid class set so far seems to be a flop, but let's not write it off just yet, it's only been 24 hours. What we can definitely write off, however, after 24 hours would be Leyline Mage, and even though everybody and their grandmother tried a different version of this deck, so far it doesn't seem to be working one bit. Everything Leyline Mage is well under 50% win rate so far, and people have tried hard. Like, this has been the most popular class from the 4 class set classes, and right now it's simply just not working. Even though it obviously makes a lot of sense on paper, like, all of the cards definitely support each other very well. If you don't get them literally exactly one after the other, and if the opponent doesn't give you enough breathing room, well, you're just gonna be dead under the water. The Leyline package definitely looks solid, but most of these cards can definitely use a little bit of buffage. Like, I would not be surprised we see a buff patch in probably a week or about 10 days, basically a couple of weeks after the class sets come, and I would not be surprised if half of these cards get 1 mana reductions, and for good reason. Like, this class set makes a lot of sense, but it's simply a little bit too expensive, a little bit too clunky. It just doesn't give enough. Like, paying 3 mana for this girl and her having just 2 health is kinda sketchy. This guy being a 4 mana 3/3, albeit the effect is huge, also feels super bad. Like, playing this guy on turn 4, it's just begging to get slapped, and the rest of the cards also feel a little bit too expensive for start, so yeah, all around it does need a little bit of help. Here is the reality of Leyline Mage so far. It is just brutal. Everything is under 40%, so I was generous calling it everything is under 50, but yeah, it's just not working out so far. It's a little bit too expensive, a little bit too slow, a little bit too little defensive for a deck like this. It just cannot hold out long enough for it to actually start doing its thing. So yeah, guys, all around, that's about it for the class set so far. Definitely doesn't seem as amazing, and I guess everybody worrying that the new class sets are gonna skew the meta and the bad classes are gonna get even worse and these classes are gonna get better. Well, no, nobody got anything out of this so far. I don't expect a big meta shift out of these cards just yet, but I'm definitely expecting a lot of big buffs to most of these. We should be hearing more about it at least a week from now, so hold tight. I'm sure Hearthstone is not gonna leave this situation like this, so changes are coming, they're just not coming fast enough. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, a like and subscribe would be great, and do let me know in the comments if you've actually found success with some of these new class set decks. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.